Hello students. So today we are going to discuss about the factors that have enabled the globalization. What are the factors which have been enabled the globalization? So what is the main factor here? First is technology. A rapid growth of technology has been it is one of the major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. So the technology is the main factor here which have gone rapidly growth of technology here in the process of globalization. So if we compare the past 50 years, we have seen several improvements in the transportation technology. So if we see previous years, 50 years before, what happened? There was no any transport facilities like now. Now we have their own vehicles or transport facilities like buses, railways, or their own vehicles, trains, everything. Now we are available here. But if we see at that time 50 years before, what happened? There was no any like this transport facilities, like only the bullock carts or tractors. So like this machines, they like this they used to you use for the transport facilities, horses and everything they so now what is the technology? Previous years there was no technology like this. So now whatever the transport facilities we have here, like buses, railways and airways, whatever it may be, waterways, transport facilities which are available to us, they are all are because of the technology only. In the technology we got lot of improvement, that's why we have a good transport facilities in nowadays. So as a result, what is happening? The goods are delivering very faster across long distance at lower costs. So because of this technology, what is happening to us? The goods are delivering very fastly. If it is in another country also, because the with the help of the airways and the railways, the goods train, no, because of these facilities, we are able to send the goods, we are able to deliver this uh, goods as faster across to the long distances also, and at the lower costs also. So what the developments in information and communication technology have been even more remarkable and rapid. The development in which in the information and communication technology, it has also become a very remarkable, rapidly it has grown, because the information, whatever the communication from one country to another country, it is also the communication, we can do communication very easily through the help of mobile phones now we have. So the information communication technology also increased very rapidly, and it has very remarkable. We have telecommunication facilities, right, like telegraph, telephone, including mobile phones also, faxes. So all this, with the help of all these things, we can communicate with anyone within any country. So we have all these facilities, right, like mobile phones, telephones, all this. So with the help of for the low costs also, isn't it? With the low cost, we can communicate with the other countries, other people through the internet by sending the emails and voicemails complete across the world. Next topic is liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. So first of all, we need to know what is the meaning of liberalization. Liberal is nothing but free hand. It means for whom we are giving the free hand. So the liberalization, it may be foreign companies or foreign investment, foreign trade, whatever it may be. Freedom, free hand we are giving to the foreign companies or foreign investment. So whatever the process we are doing, we are selling the products for one country to another country as freely, as liberally, so that foreign companies and foreign investments we are going. So we are going to call it, this concept is called globalization. Because of the globalization, we have maximum benefit. What we are going to get is, what is the benefit we are going to get? The inflow of the foreign currency into our nation. So what is the main benefit we are getting in our country because of this globalization is, we are getting the inflow, we are getting the income, the money, the foreign currency we are getting, it is entering in our nation through the concept of the globalization. The liberalization policies which have made many of the foreign companies to invest in the other nations. So because of this liberalization only, one country can invest in the another country. So it is freely, liberally, freely they can invest. So these policies have made many of the foreign companies which are there to invest in the other nations. When it's come to the investment, a huge investment can change the fate of our nation. It means when we are investing here, it means when we are investing in the other country, we have many restrictions, we have many barriers, we have also restrictions. What are the restrictions? Like if we want to invest in the other country, or do trading with the other country, like restrictions we have, like tax. We can listen, no, tax on the imports, what we are importing from our country to other country, so they'll keep tax on that. So keeping more tax on the imports, what will happen? It's lead to the barrier. It will become a barrier for them. It will become burden for them. So when it will become barrier for them, what that people will do? They will not bring the product to us, because if they bring, then they need to pay more amount of tax, isn't it? So then automatically what will happen? The cost of the product will increase, because here they are paying the tax, more tax. If they pay the more tax, then they have to they will increase the cost of the product. Then what will happen? If it increase, then it leads to a negative impact for us here. Let us see one example here. The Chinese toys. No, we all know that Chinese toys, whatever the Chinese will manufacture the products like toys, they will import to our India. So in India, in many places we can see that, right? So example of impact of the Chinese toys in our India. Suppose the Indian government imposes a tax on import of toys, and because of the tax, the buyers will have to pay a higher price on the imported toys. The Chinese toys will no longer be as cheap in the Indian markets. So the imports from China will automatically reduce, and Indian toys makers will prosper. So it means, for example, the Chinese people, they are importing their toys in our India. So suppose if in case our Indian government, if it imposes a tax, if it increase the tax on toys which are coming from the China, what will happen? Automatically when the Chinese people are paying the tax, automatically what they will do? They will increase the price of toys. Then the buyers have to pay higher price on the toys which are importing from the Chinese. So what will happen? The Chinese toys will no longer be cheap in our Indian markets. It means it can't be cheap, it can't be get for the cheap prices. They will increase the prices. So for a high cost we have to purchase it. At that time what will happen? The imports from China will automatically, it will get reduced, and our Indian toys maker will prosper. This tax on imports is an example of the trade barrier. It is called a barrier. We calling it as a barrier. Why? Because some restrictions have been setting up. the government can use trade barriers to increase or decrease the foreign trade and to decide what kinds of goods and how much of each should come into the country. So whatever the government have authority or rights to use this trade barriers, it can increase or it can decrease. So the foreign trade, uh, from the foreign trade, so it is decide what kinds of goods, what kinds of products should come and how much of each should come in the country. The Indian government after our independence had put many barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment. This was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from the foreign competition. So our Indian government after independence, they have put on very barriers for to what, to the foreign trading and the foreign investment. If we want to keep any investment in the foreign country or other countries, they want to keep the investment in our country, so they have keep in some barriers. Why? Because this was, it is necessary, they have keep in because it is necessary to protect who are the producers within the in our country. So to protect them with the foreign competition, if they don't, for example our government, if they don't keep any barriers, so all the other countries, what they will do, they will produce and they will come in our country and completely they'll occupy their market. So by keeping this barriers, restrictions, what they can, the government can protect the producers who are producing in our country from the foreign competition. Industries also, industries were just coming up in the 1950s and 1960s. So before 1950s and 1960s there was no any idea of the industries. So from these years the industries are also coming up and developing and started competition from imports at stage would not have allowed these industries to survive. So our India allowed import of only essential items such as what, such as machinery, fertilizers, petroleum, etc. Only these things it will import from the other country. Our India is just allowed only the necessary items which are useful for our country, like what, the machineries. When the new technology will come, the new machineries will also come. So the new machineries and the fertilizers, petroleum, etc., all this it will import. And note that all the developed countries which are there, during the early stages of development, they have given protection to domestic producers through a variety of means. So whenever the all the developed countries which are there, during in the every early stages, it means when the it will trading will start, in early stage it will get the development. So at that stage every developed country has given the protection to their domestic producers, it means within their country producers, because to stop the competition from the other countries. In the year of around 1991, so some far reaching changes in policy were made in India. In our India, around the year of 1991, some of the changes in the policies which are given by our country, some changes they have brought up in the policies which are made in our India. The government has identified that the time had come for Indian producers to compete with producers around the globe. So at one point, at one situation, what the government have done, the government have identified that now it is the time for the Indian producers to give the competition to the other producers around the globe. It means all to the all countries. This is the time to they have to give the competition. It felt that competition would improve the performance of producers within the country, since they would have to improve their quality. So by this the government has, when identified, it has also felt that if they keep competition for the other countries to our country, then we can improve some of the performances, who are the producers are there, they can bring up changes in their performances and they can do work more effectively. So within the country they would have to improve their quality first of all. This decision was taken by the government, so it is also supported by the powerful, all the international organizations which are there, they have also supported to this decision which have taken by the Indian government. Thus, whatever the barriers on the foreign trade and the foreign investment were removed to the large extent. So, after that, what the government has done, it has removed all the barriers which the foreign trade and foreign investment to a large extent they have removed. So that means that goods could be imported and exported easily, and foreign companies could also set up factories and offices here. It means now other countries also got the opportunity for what they can keep set up factories. It means, like for example, American people are there, so that at previous times they have all the restrictions from our government that no one should come in our country and no one should set up any factories or any investments or any, they used to do trading, but they won't able to set up the factories and offices in our country. But after the government has removed all these barriers, so all the restrictions it has removed, so now within that the goods can be imported and exported to each and every country very easily, and also the foreign companies can, they can set up all the factories and offices here also. Removing all these barriers or restrictions which have set up by the government is known as what? Liberalization. This is called it as liberalization. It means no restrictions at all now. So with this liberalization of trade, business, these are allowed to make decisions freely. It means on the basis, on what they will make the decisions to import and export. What in our country some companies they want to export some goods, produced goods to the other countries, and other countries also they want, they will import to our country. So it means the, it means what, now they can take all the decisions very freely without any restrictions. So the government also imposes lesser restrictions now than earlier. So if we see comparing to the earlier decisions of the government, now we have the less restrictions as in the earlier. Therefore this is only removing the restrictions and barriers is only called it as what? Liberalization, and it's said to be more liberal, more freedom. We must now ask ourselves, what actually drives globalization? Is it is a political decision or it is an economic or technical revolution? So we have to ask ourselves, what is it exactly? All the economic proponents of globalization, they will argue that it is the economic forces that are responsible for the globalization and control its and borders. So all the people who are there, they will argue, what they will argue, they'll argue that is, it is not political, it is not technological, it is the only economic forces which are responsible for the globalization, controls over the borders here. Those who are holding the political line, they will argue that it is the government decisions that allow movements in the first place. So some people will argue that it is the economic forces, but who are in the political way, who are in the political line, they will argue that it is a government decision that which is allows the movement in the first place. The government place restrictions on ease regulations. It means the attractiveness or unattractiveness of all the places has to do within the political climate, or not necessarily the market condition. So what the government have given the place the restrictions, it is the attractiveness or the unattractiveness of all the places, they have to do within the political climate. Not it is not necessarily in the market conditions. So therefore the all the territory still matters. in reality both are connected. It means in if we see in reality, the economic is also connected, the political way is also connected. So we must have remember that political decisions are taken in the particular context which accounts for the economic and technological changes that has already taken place. So whatever the political decisions they are taking for the economic and technological changes which are already it has taking places in our country. So remaining topics we will discuss in the next class.